Boom, 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 boom. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Killing some time before my guest arrives. We're just waiting, killing time. It's weird building a business, more so empire. And there's so many things that need to get done in order to make sure that the empire is as prosperous as intended. I always keep in mind that you can do more with more people. You know, it's like building an empire to me is the same thing as making a Oscar-winning movie. One film that I think of often is What's Up, Friend? We're going to get into it today. We've got some things to talk about. Yo,
How's it going,
I'm
man?
good. How are you?
We're great. I'm driving home right now. Just left the gym.
Are you safe?
Yeah. I'm almost done.
Okay.
I'm cool, man. I'm done. I'm done worse stuff.
All right. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been super busy with a lot of the pop-up events and the promotion I'm doing for the boxes that are coming out.
Okay.
Have you seen those?
No.
Dude, I came across this like genius idea because I was strategizing how I can get more customers online through the website for like delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking like, okay, like what are possible things that would prevent people from ordering, whether they haven't tried the products before, they're not sure they're going to like it, having maybe too many options, making it difficult to decide what it is that they want, or just having not tried it before, not seeing like the value yet. So I was like, okay, what are maybe some other industries doing within the food industry as a whole that I can do to increase more, I guess to like not only increase the premiumness and like the luxury of the product, the appeal, the value behind it,
Mm-hmm.
but also get a lot of people to try it and really discover what they like so that they can really resonate with the product and find something good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was like, what's a beautiful gift that people give when it comes to food? And I thought like something like Cease Candy, where they do like chocolate assortment boxes, like something you get for like your birthday or like a Valentine's Day gift or something like that. I was like, okay, well, like those assortments, they're like smaller sample sizes of every single flavor that these companies have. So I was like, I can do that and make a really luxury box that's not only beautiful but feels like a gift rather than just like random free stuff. It doesn't feel like free samples. It feels like a premium product that you're getting to try,
Yeah.
kind of like crumble cookie or something like that, but just more premium.
Smart. I
Yeah.
like it.
So
Very
I
good.
made it. The past couple months I spent designing the box, finding a manufacturer. Found the manufacturer. I got the first sample of the box, and then I sent 500 to production. The plan is right now is to keep on promoting it, promoting the business as a whole, doing a lot of these pop-ups. 100 boxes are going to go to influencers and social media content creators, and the other 400 are going to go up for pre-order to the public.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
and I'm stacking the value of what's going to be included inside the box,
I
making
love
it
it.
as high end as
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah. No, I
sparing
definitely see it.
sparing no dollar.
Yeah. No, you definitely paint the picture. I see it. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's good, man.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really excited for it.
Good strategy. I like it.
Thank you. But you'll be getting one, of course, too.
Oh fuck. Shit. Of course. Of course. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, actually, I wanted to talk to you because I wanted to, once I get these boxes, I'm going to be getting them sometime like mid to late
Mm-hmm.
July. So, as soon as I have them, the plan is to go to Zoo Culture. I already have a few people in mind, like
Okay.
Alexis, Eric, Janicki, Larry Wheels, you, Valley, a bunch of other content creators who are there,
Mm-hmm.
and give them these boxes to help me out with the promotion. So that way, by the time the pre-order is up and live, the 400 are sold before they even fulfill.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah. However I can help.
What's that?
However I can help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want
Question.
to inspire a lot of user generated content with this stuff
Yes.
because
Love it.
that performs really well.
Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. That's exciting. I mean,
Definitely.
that sounds great. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Um, good. Things have been good. A lot of it's become very network heavy, which like is completely up my alley.
Mm.
Um, it's weird though, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm definitely not complaining. I mean, I'm definitely living the dream. I just didn't know. I never really spent the time when I was like imagining this whole process of world peace or taking over the world or whatever phraseology you want to make. I knew it was going to require a huge
Mm.
network, but 10 years ago, I never really like imagined like actually sitting down and tuning into every single person I'm speaking to and like I understood what it looked like, but I never really like walked myself through like, oh, I'm going to be face to face, telephonically, Zoom
Yeah.
calls, in
Yeah.
person with thousands of people over the course of my life, all having different conversations that lead to one ultimate goal of world peace.
It seems like you've been getting a lot of like reps in like with like your pitch, telling your story, your strategy, and overall the game plan.
Yeah, it gets better and better, and I'm convinced that the more you practice the vision or the description of the vision,
Yeah.
you can paint a better picture for the person that you're talking to and better for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I might have this super crystal clear vision as to what the finished product is supposed to look like, but the more time I spend talking about it, the clearer the vision actually becomes in my head.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only like I noticed the same thing too. Like the more I talk about what it is that I'm doing, the next step, the plan, my vision for my company, whether it's short term or long term, I realize that like I end up using a lot fewer words and I'm a lot more accurate with the description of what I'm doing. And
Exactly.
it resonates more deeply when you I think can say it in simple terms.
Yes, couldn't agree more. And honestly, that's a practice that like I'm consciously working on it, which is like the practice of concision. You
Yes,
know,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah, like being concise with the amount of words that you're using in order to get your point across or to relay your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun practice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely helped me out with that a lot too. And I'm realizing like even now, like just telling you about these sampler boxes, that I'm getting a lot better when it comes to explaining the vision behind it.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when we first started talking, like you were, you, you could spend like
I was
30
like,
minutes on.
how do I explain why I'm doing this?
No, no, not even. You
I get
just
it.
you think a lot. Like you'll have a brain that is very active, something I
Yeah,
relate to.
yeah, yeah,
And we could both talk for like an hour without any interruption. So, but that's just something to be mindful of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's good practice.
Good, man.
Um one thing I wanted to ask you is how has Watchmen been?
Dude, I'm almost done with it. I haven't really picked up the book that recently. I think I'm on like chapter 10 or 11. So
Okay.
I got to the part where they just landed in the Arctic from the owl thing.
Oh,
The
cool. So
owl
you're
thing.
almost at the end.
Yeah, it's almost the end.
Okay. All right.
Um,
How are you liking
I
it?
I love it. It's like I was kind of slightly anticipating like a children's book or like something for like kids, and I was immediately immediately like my assumption was proven wrong. I was like, this is extremely profound. It's so layered, so deep, and it touches on many things that I guess even like I sometimes try to stray away from when it comes to like thinking about because history was something that really fascinated me
Hmm.
before, and so it was something that I definitely looked into because I wanted to understand, I guess, like human nature, human psychology, why certain things happen, and how we can change those things for the future. But I think I kind of got past that phase and kind of started living my life of just like thinking in very simple way of just having the mentality of like, okay, be positive, be loving, and just do what you can, rather than like really focusing on these really controversial topics, like war, the Cold War, focusing on all the, the greatest things, most pivotal moments of human history. And I think revisiting a lot of the things I've learned about history, the themes of war, love, relationships, poverty, crime, humanity. that all surface in Watchmen was it really made me think. Okay, unlike I think any literature that I've ever read. Um,
That's amazing.
yeah, and it really pulls you. It really pulls you in so many different directions because there's so, especially with every character, it's like as different as they are from I guess the way that we would live our lives. You can relate and you can understand like each and every single one. No, and because like each archetype within the story is so extreme, like Rorschach, for example, like he's such a character, you know, literally, but he's just such a character in the sense that he really has like this tragic story, and he lives this life that's so extreme. Like he doesn't sleep. He just his whole life is just focused on fighting crime. He's very brutal with it. It kind of reminds me of like Batman a little bit.
Hmm.
It's a little, with just that touch of like justice that hangs more on vengeance than justice.
Mm.
But
Mm.
it's like you understand it at the same time and you relate to it, and it's like I think I know that I have the knowledge and the perspective and the wisdom that tells me that nobody does anything inappropriate given their perspective of the world. And so it's like no matter how far we disagree on someone, on anything in the world, on which side is right and wrong, there's no really such thing. It's not really black and white. There's everything is gray area. And so no matter how ridiculous or evil it seems like the things that people are doing, it's just what they believe is appropriate given their perspective of the world. It's they tell their own story mentally, they live their own life experiences, and they justify all their actions given that experience, given that perspective. And I think you can really see that in Watchmen, with the way that Dr. Manhattan lives his life, the way that he navigates relationships, because he has like this massive, almost godlike perspective.
I wouldn't even call it
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Yeah.
He does have a godlike perspective, and his character really it gave me deep insight, especially that moment where he's what's her name? Like he's there with his girlfriend on
Jupiter.
on Mars.
Sally.
Yeah, yeah, Sally Jupiter. When he's there on Mars and they're talking about how she's gonna end up crying at the end of the conversation, he already knows like how it goes, and um, it's like things still play out despite how you kind of resist it. They still play out the way they were meant to. And also, I did not see it coming to the plot twist that happened right there, where she figures out that what's his name is her dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That plot twist, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
one caught me off guard, but it connected at the same time where it was like it makes sense but I just didn't see it coming.
Dude, I think we can really do. I'm ambitious, right?
I do. Yeah,
I think we can tell a greater story about the human condition that surpasses Watchmen.
I think so too.
Yeah, and I think we can have it be on a bigger scale and have it expand across. I don't know. Like, I think my reservation. I don't even want to call it a critique, but the thing that I want to improve on relative to Watchmen is that like that was like five
Yeah,
superheroes, right? You got Sally Jupiter, Rorschach, Doctor Manhattan, Ozymandias, Night Owl, and there's one other person I'm forgetting. Uh, Fucking comedian,
that's
right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah. So like it's basically like six people, right? The idea of turning every athlete, player, entrepreneur, musician, artist into their own main character within the
mm.
Nattyverse is incredibly appealing to me because it's supposed to suggest that through this network and through this connection, we are all chipping in and doing our part to change the world and make it a better place.
yeah. I do resonate with that. I definitely agree. Like we're gonna have a lot more characters, and I think not only that, we're gonna tell it on a grander time scale.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's gonna play out very interestingly. I think we're gonna also have the advantage of not necessarily needing to summarize so many different character
Because we
stories.
got more
It's really
time.
exactly. We just have so much more time, and we're still like in the process of creation. Like the story doesn't end like where the book ends.
Yeah.
The story never ends.
Yeah. Yeah. Goes forever. Okay. So the big question and the purpose of this conversation right here is, all right, you and I, we can both watch or read The Watchmen and go like, okay, we see the appeal, we see the themes, we see like the emotional resonance
Yeah.
of each character's perspective, yada yada yada, and it is considered one of, if not the greatest graphic novels of all time, right? So
Yeah.
is it just as simple if we both understand that the scope that we're aiming to do so far is the Natty King and the Natty Verse, we're looking to create that level of scope so far as emotional resonance and
Mhm.
thematic prominence, right? Is it like, do we have to concern ourselves with the fact that, like, how do I put this? Do we have to concern ourselves with an attraction, an actual attraction, or is what we're doing an attraction enough?
I'm a little confused on the question. Are you asking me like on the or kind of like a question relevant to the execution, or I guess the approach?
Yeah. So the way I see it is, we
Just
got.
use the bathroom real quick.
All right. I'll I'll just think to myself. Do 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 do. Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its. You ever seen that David Blaine parody? David Blaine, stop putting things on our body, David Blaine. That's like an old YouTube video back when YouTube was first getting popular. Back when there was like 1,000 YouTube content creators. Instagram wasn't a thing. David Blaine Street Magic. That was really funny. Oh, did you mute? That's considerate. Yeah, we don't want to hear you peeing. Oh
You
man, it's been such
think
fun.
I was just gonna let you listen, huh?
Nah, I wouldn't want that.
Thank you.
All right. So anyway, going back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
So the way I see it, right? We got there's multiple stories that we want to tell, right?
Okay.
Any person who comes into the Nattyverse and is consenting to their story being told in relation to the entire universe that we've built, right? Are you with me?
Yes.
I would like to refer to those people as players of the great game. And that great game leads us to the destination of rebooting the world or changing the world, saving the world, taking over the world, whatever phraseology you want, right? Any player who's a part of the great game is playing the game for that purpose. Are you with me?
Yes.
What's the attraction that draws players into the Nattyverse?
Mm,
And then what is the attraction to the general audience for why they're tuning in?
got it. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with speaking from my personal experience about why I want to be a player in
Okay.
this. I really do like the idea of documenting, I guess, this journey that I'm on. It feels like for me, I'm in a position in my life where I know my grand purpose. I know what I want to dedicate my life to. For me, that's like that's solving world hunger, essentially eradicating famine. So for me, because I'm aware of that, and I'm gonna dedicate my life to that regardless. That's it's a story that I'm gonna need other people to join me on. It's a journey that's gonna last my life. Sorry, is this sideways now? Got it. Yeah, it's something that I need people to tune into because it's a group project. It's not an individual pursuit. So I see the value in using storytelling, using documentation, using this media machine of entertainment, of making the story journey entertaining for others, as essentially a means of kind of networking, using resources, telling the story. And it reminds me of history too, because I fundamentally believe that we are writing history right now in this very moment. So to me, the attraction is we're writing history and we're telling it the way that we want to tell it. We're telling it in the most magnificent, heroic story way that we possibly can.
All right, but here's the issue, Adal.
Yeah.
We're locked in. You and I have the shared vision. Like
Yes.
we're completely on the same page about the scope, the use of kayfabe,
Mhm.
the epicness of the entire story and shit like that. We're on the same page. The issue that I'm running into is I haven't been shown that the rest of the world is even interested in an epic journey. What I've seen, what I've observed is that when the Marvel Cinematic Universe takes 20 years to arrive at Avengers Endgame, literally 20 years to tell a story starting with Iron Man, the first Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr., leading us all through the different Iron Man movies, the different Thor movies, the different Captain America movies, the multiple Avengers movies, ending at Avengers Endgame. There's a huge emotional payoff for the audience who has sat there for that entire 20-year journey. But the thing is, it was fed to them. They didn't have to buy in. They didn't have to do anything. It was just entertainment. It was just popcorn. Movies coming out, they did the proper marketing. They go to the movie theaters, they watch the movie. Oh my God, Captain America picked up Thor's hammer, right? How do we get people to buy into the concept of my story in connection with the Nattyverse actually makes a difference? It actually matters, as opposed to just being a bystander and watching how this unfolds.
How do you get people to be activated and moved by it in a way to participate?
Correct.
Hmm.
Right now, it's like I'm targeting natural bodybuilders, obviously, for the natty thing, right? But like for me, the sell is you were going to be a natural bodybuilder anyway. The fact that you chose not to take steroids, even though that's what most bodybuilders are doing, the fact that you didn't take steroids is to say, like, you're drawing your line in the sand. This is your path forward, and I just want to tell your story in conjunction with a bigger one, right?
Yeah.
Can I do that for the rest of the world?
I think so, and I absolutely believe that. I haven't really figured out how. Thinking, I guess, as we're going. So this is definitely something I can try to answer now, but I think my answer will probably change given more time to. It's just a. It's just such a big question, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is like, I think probably the biggest, most important question we could possibly ask right now.
Yeah, because like the way I see it. Okay, all right. Here's my big issue. If we don't do anything, if poor people who are not in positions of power, do not unite right now over the course of this lifetime, the people who are in charge are not considering us. Period. So if they continue to assume power, where does that leave us so far as with the trajectory that we are currently on as a society?
Yeah, not down a good path.
The thing is that if you start promoting, like if you start like hopping on social media and say like, okay, well, we have to change the world, we have to take over the world. That, mm-hmm.
Sorry, continue.
All right. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you and I are one in a billion people, right? We have large aspirations, big ambition, and we have the self-belief that we can actually see it come true.
Yes.
And that's what allows us to have this conversation about changing the world and making an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Most people do not think like this, but we both understand that it takes thousands of people, if not more, to actually achieve the vision that we have in mind for all of humanity. So is the trick, it can't just be finding people like us because the number is too few.
Yeah.
So the trick will have to be activating people and getting them to come in and provide their contribution in a way where they don't feel overwhelmed with the scope that we both see. Because that's what I keep running into recently, is that I am overwhelming people with the vision.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. Both the observation that you're overwhelming people and that we're in the game of activating people, or I guess making them problem aware or solution aware, or rather solution aware rather than actually trying to find people who are already problem seeking, solution seeking.
Yeah, because it's at least in this bracket. Like, if we were both billionaires at this point, we could totally have access to the network and the resources in order to make the impact that we both have in mind for each other. The thing is that because we're starting from the ground up, we have to build the community of people like us or are willing to participate or contribute in some way. And the only way that this is going to work is that we find the thing that they are already passionate about and then making it make sense for them to contribute to our vision.
Okay.
That way the sell is like, we're not asking you to like, okay, you're single-handedly going to help us create world peace. The only thing that we're asking of you is for you to continue doing the thing that you're good at, but link it with what we're doing.
Okay, got it. And to me, that when you say it like that, that makes sense to me because I didn't start my, I guess, journey of self-growth, self-realization, and evolution thinking at this level of scope. I guess I more so started thinking about like my personal problems, the things I wanted to improve in within myself. You know, years later down the line, did I have this crazy idea that I kind of pushed away that I was like, whoa, that doesn't sound like something a 15-year-old can do. So I was like, let me focus on my 15-year-old problems before I start thinking about global crisis. But now, looking back in retrospect, I see how everything led up to that. Like the passions I had then lead to the passions I have now. So I think there's wisdom in that. I think there's value in seeing how we got here to help other people get to this point of activation and being wanting to be a participant. I think I know that for a fact that the vast majority of people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and I'm asking myself, why is that? What motivates that?
Here's the thing, though, Adal, and I'm excited to get to the bottom
Hmm.
of this, but my suspicion is that it's a bigger number of people that are interested or willing to spectate on greatness than to actually be a part of something great.
Mm,
For instance, Michael Jordan is considered the greatest basketball player of all time, right? How many people were on his team?
maybe 8, 10.
11.
Yeah,
And then you got the staff, you've got like the faculty and shit like that. But the number isn't millions, right? But millions watched Michael Jordan be the greatest basketball player of all time. And they all get to talk about how MJ is the GOAT,
yeah.
right? I think people are more comfortable talking about MJ's greatness than pursuing MJ's greatness.
Okay.
So if
What
MJ,
if
like, fuck, go on.
what if we make spectating the participation that we need?
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Is there a way that we can actually use the energization or like energize just spectators into, I guess, what monetizes this in a sense?
Absolutely.
And I guess
Absolutely.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like if we have to accept everybody as spectators and that's how it's going to be, well, how can we make that as useful as possible? How can people feel that they're being useful just by watching, just by tuning in?
I love it. I love it.
Because to me, I guess like I think of I'm trying to parallel this to business here. Like there might be a lot of people that follow you, watch your business, see the things you do as business. It doesn't mean they're customers. It doesn't mean that they give you revenue. But I also know that word of mouth is probably one of the most effective things when it comes to increasing customers, marketing, and products, selling
Yeah, man.
products.
It's
So
super weird because like even when I look at like my own analytics for the content that I create, right?
yeah,
Engagement is super low. It's been low ever since I kind of pivoted my content away from greatest natural bodybuilder of all time, et cetera, over to I want to take over the world. I'm looking to recruit people who are interested in helping me take over the world. Ever since I started making content more in that lane or that like subject, engagement and views have gone
mm,
down. Yet, people, when I interact with them in person, they talk about the fact that they're talking about me when I'm not in those rooms, which is very interesting because it suggests that I'm being seen by people, but the support is not there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's
I
very,
do.
it's very weird.
I do, and I get that. I think for me, the way that I can relate to you on that aspect is that if I think I know for sure, like if I, even the very few people I've told, like, hey, my end goal is to like end world hunger, they're just like, cool, good for you. But if I'm like, okay, I just want to grow my business, like I'm just a teenage entrepreneur just looking to grow my business, my goal is 10K a month. People are like, okay, yeah, like I can help with that. Like I think it's just more like how digestible it is in the sense of like, I think if most people don't want to tune in or participate in the things that you're talking about, it's probably because they feel like they can't. Um, and they might not feel like it's their pursuit or something that's even like interesting to them. I think to me, like natural bodybuilding is something that I would want to tune into and feel like I could definitely watch and be entertained by a little bit more. It's more digestible to day-to-day life, my interests, my hobbies, than thinking about taking over the world. And so that's the perspective I can give to you as someone who knows you well enough to say that like that definitely seems like a conversation that makes sense. And so I don't think that we should hide anything, and I don't. But I would say that the main message that I'm speaking right now isn't to the level. Like we're saying that we're building from the ground up. We have like Dr. Manhattan, the knowledge of how this ends, what we're gonna do, the grand agenda, the grand purpose of what our business, what your career as a bodybuilder has, what role it plays in taking over the world. But we're not necessarily talking about that right now, just yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Um, because we might not just be there yet when it comes
Yeah.
to feasibility. Like, so it's not to say that we're gonna stop believing that we could do those things, but it's
Mhm.
like if other people are kind of like tuning out because of it, let's be aware of that and perhaps approach this in a different
I
way.
agree.
Because
I agree.
I'm trying to think of like I don't know why, but I just like the thought popped into mind of Jesus. I think it would be pretty gnarly, like if you went outside and this dude, you just saw this guy like um raising people from the dead, like things like that, just crazy miracles that just feats of like supernatural things. It probably wouldn't be very digestible. You'd be like, what the hell is going on? Like what's really happening here? And I think if you started at that, like let's say Jesus started his message of like I want to take over the world, people would be like, dude, how he started. For the most part, it started like he was much quieter. He wasn't really that well known. He started to develop, I guess, recruit small like disciples, talking about salvation, talking about God. And he didn't need to like prove it through miracles before to recruit his disciples. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
That was something that came when he already had a mass of people following him.
Right. Yeah.
I think
So
that's
you're saying
maybe
like,
we shouldn't start talking about the end goal.
yeah,
Like we could
go
talk
back.
about it. Like I love talking about it, but maybe it's not the main thing we promote right now. Because I've like in my business, if I think if I was kind of like right now, the fact that I'm operating my business in a home kitchen with like a couple $1,000s a month in revenue, saying that the end goal is to build $1 billion company, and I'm recruiting people who want to be part of $1 billion company.
Hmm.
It's kind of like in over my head. It's kind of like I'm not there yet. I'm not. That's not the next step. Does that make sense? The next
Hmm.
step for me is to build a winning product through one channel, um, one mode of marketing, like master that, and then start building a small team of people who can take me to the next step
Yeah.
of commercializing my production,
Yeah.
having a decent following of customers that's consistent
That's
for the whole state of California. Right now, I'm still in Southern
yeah.
California doing deliveries in
Yeah.
my car by myself.
Yeah.
I'm not international right
Right.
now.
I see. I
Does
see.
that
So
make
you're
sense?
saying like, yeah, it does. It does. Um, okay. And then you're saying focus on like the more immediate steps.
Yeah, because I think it's more digestible, and I think that we can activate people easier if we're not trying to activate them for the thing that's like, 50 years down the line, and we're trying to activate them for like the next step.
Right.
It's like if we want to convince people of like increase or like expanding their idea of like human
Hmm.
potential and what the world is capable of and world peace and all these things,
Hmm.
it's like why don't we start by shattering beliefs of what's accomplishable in bodybuilding? That's a really good I guess gateway into look, you could this is what's possible for the human body. and the human mind. Now let's go into the human spirit, the soul. Like, what else can you do? You know, and that's when we were talking about like superpowers, levitating, and stuff like that. Let's start, like, bodybuilding is a really good place to start. Bodybuilding already exists, and people already have a lot of limiting beliefs just around this thing that is very simple and scientific.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah. And it just so happens that I kind of made the decision to start talking about taking over the world at the beginning of the year, just because I don't know why I made that decision. Probably because I knew I was going to at some point. So I figured, like, why not in year 2 of this whole thing?
Like some Dr. Manhattan stuff right
Yeah,
there.
and I'm not even going to say that, like, it was an error, because I just want to talk about what I want to talk about, you know? But
Yeah.
I don't know. It definitely doesn't help with mobilizing or recruiting people. It does not help.
No, but I can observe even just from a distance, and you can attest to this, you can confirm or correct me if I'm wrong, but you have absolutely activated a lot of people when it comes to talking about bodybuilding and what is possible without steroids. You've activated people and inspired a lot of young lifters, people to get into taking care of their health and wellness. And that's a perfect segue, I think, into the next step of going into what's possible mentally, like self-belief and thinking like that.
Yeah.
I think of like I'm trying to think of like a good example for like influencers who have already found success. It's like a lot of time it's really surface level. Like these people have like crazy physiques or they do these like really weird things. I think of like maybe like Ashton Hall for an example. It's like Ashton Hall got famous without saying a single word. There's no level of expertise, there's no vision behind it. He's just jacked and he runs fast, you know, and he just looks crazy while doing it. And he makes these like interesting, funny videos, right? About these exaggerated morning routines. And he got stupid famous off of just doing things like that, and then made even more money doing like coaching and things like that. But it's just super to just what's super simple and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because people admire what they see him doing with his money, if he was to come out and start talking and start giving advice, guidance, and activating people, he's already activated people of what's possible physically and financially. And if he started talking about mentality, spirit, life advice, people would recruit this guy who just has a lot of money and has big muscles as like a life coach when he may have zero credibility as a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
He got famous without saying anything. Who knows what he knows, you know?
Right.
Like, and so I think it's like I bring that up because um, I think we do need to segue. Like, we can't segue into like I guess advising people on how to take over the world when we haven't gotten to a place where we're even at I guess a really recognizable, at least socially, level of success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It would be like if I was trying to be on Shark Tank as an investor rather than pitching my business.
Well said.
It's like,
Well said.
who's going to listen to me?
Right.
I don't have the facilities to invest in these.
Right. Okay. And I think that's great.
Mhm.
I love that. So I want to provide a perspective that I've been working with.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm starting to, like, just through this conversation, I'm starting to understand that there's a difference between your content that is made available to everyone and how you talk to people one-on-one, right?
for sure.
I think of stories like Kanye West in the Rockefeller Nation studio or like board meeting, and he's standing up on a table announcing that he's the greatest thing since Michael Jackson, and then making it come true over the course of his music career, right? My idea was to present that level of confidence across all content and say, like, hey, I already knew that I was like a big deal, and I'm just showing the growth as it becomes material over the course of my career. I thought that was cool, but I'm starting to think maybe that shit was only reserved for board meetings or like closed doors,
Small circles.
small circles.
Yeah. I get that, and I think it is cool. I love that stuff because the way I look at it is like it's cool when it works. I remember this quote from Mr. Beast. He says like everybody thinks you're crazy until it works, then you're a genius. And because he was saying stuff like this, like I'm gonna be the biggest YouTuber at like 18 years old with like 50 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has 300 million. So it sounds cool when you do it.
Right.
But that's not like his main content was not I'm gonna be the biggest YouTuber ever. His main content was doing the things that the greatest does,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
learning the process of becoming.
Yeah.
It was the documentation of becoming rather than like just saying I'm gonna be
Right.
or I am. You know, and I think we can take from that and really, I guess, reserve, yeah, like those things like that. I like to think like I remember someone telling me I was talking about why I make content, and I have some content that I haven't really posted, but I have the videos of me even from like over a year ago of me just talking about like self-help stuff, and also me talking about like where I'm in business and like the business lessons I've learned. But I also know that like and also the things I'm going to accomplish, like my ambitions. But I kind of keep those videos like private because I want to reserve them so that I can post them and use them as content in 10 years to say like, look, 10 years ago I was still saying the same stuff. And it's not really necessary that I post those things because it's like I don't really think I'm going to recruit followers or customers from saying that I'm going to be a billion-dollar entrepreneur or multi-billion-dollar entrepreneur. I'm going to create customers and followers from creating an amazing product and promoting my product and building my business and documenting the process of getting there more than I am talking about the end goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
That's
think
great.
that's my take on that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But I agree with you in the sense that like I don't think what you did is an error. It's not an error, like because to a certain extent, perhaps like you could like turn some people away, but I think if you still continue to um, talk about like the main thing that you're doing right now and really focus on that the most, then people are still going to be like, okay, Shaun is a bodybuilder and he's an amazing natural bodybuilder who's doing this really cool tournament, but that's not his only goal. That's not his only ambition, you know? Because even the people who think you might be a little crazy for saying to others like world domination stuff won't think you're that crazy when they see your physique and right now. Like if you were super small, skinny, like never been to a gym and you're like, I'm going to be the greatest natural bodybuilder, people would be like, dude, shut up. But you're jacked. So when you say that right now, I look at you and I'm like, I 100% believe him.
Yeah, man.
But
Mhm.
proportionally for you to say right now, like uh, I'm gonna take over the world, is kind of like if you had never been to a gym before saying that I'm gonna
Right.
be the greatest natural bodybuilder.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And I think the error, which I just didn't really see it at the beginning of the year, but the
Mm-hmm.
error was most people, when I talk about the Natty verse, most people are most attracted to the anime concept out of anything. They like the movie idea, they like the TV show idea and stuff like that, but most people, athletes and stuff like that, they get excited about the anime
Mm-hmm.
concept, right? And if I want to set the anime concept 20 years in the future, I want to start playing the role now as if we're heading to this anime future, right? And very similar to like my favorite animes, you've got like Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece, who on day one he's announcing that he's going to be the Pirate King, and then the entire 1,000 chapter story, he's getting closer and closer to that goal of becoming the Pirate King. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do that for the Natty King, for world peace and stuff like that. The thing is that we're not living in an anime, and even inside the anime, if he's saying on day one, people are walking up to him on day one, going like, "There's no way in hell you're going to be king of the pirates." Do you know what that takes,
Yeah.
kid? You know?
I haven't watched One Piece, but the
Okay.
anime that exactly I reminded me of that was Naruto. In the very like
Yeah.
first few episodes, he's saying I'm gonna be Hokage, and
Yeah.
this dude can't even graduate like the ninja school,
Yeah. It's
like
called
the very elementary
it's
school.
like it's a Shonen Jump.
Yeah, the
It's a
Shonen Jump. That's
style.
right.
Yeah. It's Shonen Jump. Same thing with Pokemon. Like I want to be the best Pokemon trainer, and they
Yeah,
say that on day one. So like
exactly.
if we're aiming for like anime style storytelling, then I'm just like copying the way that
Which
this
is
story.
which is great.
Right.
But now we're like in
But
that training arc
you're right.
where we're just kind of shutting up. We started off with no training, saying, "Look, this is what we're gonna do." Now we're in the midst of it, where it's like we're right now actions speak louder than words.
Mm.
And so,
Hmm.
yeah, we're in that training
I
arc,
love
man.
it.
We're in
I
the
love it.
hyperbolic time chamber right now. We're getting after. We're in that 1,000 episode season where, yeah, it's like, well, people will ask you like, okay, well, what's the end goal? And like, we'll say it's just the same thing from the beginning that we've been always saying. But it's like every single day we have a little more evidence, we have a little more proof, we have a little bit of a longer resume of
Mm.
like, this is how long I've been going at this.
Dude, you're hitting it. You're hitting
Yeah,
it.
no, like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like I make those videos so I can have proof. I've been working on this business for 3 years, and now that's something I talk about because and it wasn't until very recently that I started feeling the energy where I started recognizing myself as a very serious and successful entrepreneur right now. Where like I feel like I'm already at a level of success that other people the shift I've seen a massive shift in the way that other people treat me and talk to me about my business. I was just at the mall and I saw some old friends from high school, and I remember like these guys knew me when I was selling out of Ziploc bags, and I didn't have a company name, I didn't have anything. I just had Ziploc bags and a prototype recipe, and now they recognize me and everybody else. Just like there's nothing different about them, but now just like them and everybody else from high school who knew when I first started at 16 now recognize that I'm a real entrepreneur with a real business with um, real cash flow, who's actually growing, who's actually doing more, who's actually promoting, who's incorporating everything about a business, about what it means to be a real businessman. I'm not just a kid
Hmm.
anymore.
Hmm.
I'm a young entrepreneur who's really on the way up. Just like you are not just some guy, who's saying he wants a big acting role. You're like a real bodybuilder who's gonna land in a massive acting role because of his great physique, his skills, his communication, his presence online, your networking skills, all of those things. And right now, it's very feasible to everybody around us in our circles, even beyond that, that you're going to be a great bodybuilder, eventually going to go into acting. That's all very digestible. I'm an entrepreneur who's growing this business, who knows how far it'll go. I know how far it'll go, but they don't. They're just starting. They're just starting now to recognize that this is something very real and it's happening.
Hmm. This is, dude. You're really this is really good shit, man.
Like when
This is
Naruto
really good shit.
beat Neji.
Yeah.
When Naruto beat Neji, everybody's like, "Oh, he's the real dude." Like everybody starts like, "Wait, is he gonna be Hokage? Because Neji's the best." He beat Neji.
Wow.
That's what
Wow.
I'm thinking about this, man.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
So we're in the tuning exam right now.
I guess so, huh?
Yeah. And I will say how strange it is to like not get the support on social media. Not really. Like obviously you got people commenting and DMing me,
Hmm.
but it's a small number compared to the world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But then very similar to like what you say, anywhere I go, my name is becoming more recognizable in
Yes,
the
yeah,
world.
for sure.
And the interactions in person are incredibly positive,
Yeah,
which is like a very interesting thing, you know?
yeah. I don't remember the last time in the past few months where I've had like someone kind of downplay what I'm doing. They really
Exactly.
recognize it as like, okay, this guy is actually living the things that he's saying.
Hmm.
But to be fair, I haven't been saying the thing like I guess publicly saying this, the level, the grandiosity things that you're talking about, the lofty goals. I'm not. I'm just kind of like letting my actions speak a little bit more than
Yeah.
words. I'm not proposing that you change your
Yeah.
approach. I'm just saying, from my perspective, people have definitely shifted
Yeah.
and are starting to treat me like a real adult who's
Mhm.
um, on his way up to success.
No, man, I'm ready to change the approach on social media. Just because it's like I'll be open with you.
Hmm.
My girlfriend or my romantic partner, we'll go with romantic
Yeah.
partner. She sat me down a couple days ago and essentially like her mom had called her and said I'd watched some of Shaun Fury's content and I
Oh,
think you should
what?
check. What's up?
No, no, no. I'm just saying what? Like that's crazy
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
her to
yeah,
say.
yes. So like, yeah, her mom was like, I watched some of Shaun Fury's content, and I think you should check on him. I'm worried about his mental health and shit like that. And then
Yeah.
apparently, the two of them went on this huge deep dive with ChatGPT involved, like basically assessing my behaviors over the past like several weeks to determine if I might be crazy.
What the
So
fuck?
she has this like sit down chat with me where it's like, yeah, like a lot of your behaviors that I've been observing now being colored through the perspective of her mother. Like, I really think that you should see someone for your mental health. And it's like,
Wow.
if I wasn't making that content, this conversation would not be happening. And it's just something I keep in mind, you know?
Yeah, okay. Now I totally that's really good context for me. Like it's very helpful. Now I see where you're coming from. I think I don't need to tell you like we can sit here and have a chat. I'm like, Shaun, I know you're not crazy.
I know,
But you know that. So we don't need to
yeah.
talk about that. I'm not gonna bring it up because you know I'm not gonna like baby you and try to convince you to keep going.
Of course.
You know you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to do
But
whatever I want.
what I will say is that this is still good information to realize, okay, I probably should change my approach because it's not digestible right now in the way that it's going. Kind of, I think we last time we talked about we were kind of saying like should we how careful should we be about like presenting superpowers and like miracles and things like this because some people would be like, are they crazy or am I crazy? Because right now they think you're crazy because you're just talking about it, you haven't done anything. But once you do, they're gonna think, "Am I going crazy? Like, what's going on with the world?" You know?
Yeah, and I
So
just
that
wanted to
we're in
prep
that
people.
stage. Yeah, but right now you're not prepping people because you're scaring them. You're scaring them in a way by just talking about things that are so
Yeah, no,
to other people are impossible.
I'm definitely freaking people out, bro.
It's okay, man.
Yeah,
You're
like
not you're not you're not you're not hurting them,
yeah, and I know
or you're
that
not
like
doing anything like wrong.
what helps me sleep at night is that I know that this is an art project. You know, this is like an art project, right?
Yeah,
So people like the purpose of art is for you to have an emotional reaction to it,
right.
right? So if I make my art and then a person sees my art and is like scared by it, well, I mean, that's how you're processing the art, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm like, this is feedback. Like the
yeah,
way
yeah.
that my romantic partner came to me with this concern based off of how her mother was perceiving my content. Like that's good
For
feedback. Don't get me
sure,
wing.
for sure,
It was
for
like
sure.
definitely hurtful
No,
because it's
I of course.
like you're spending all this time with me, like it's like
Yeah, no, I can put myself in your shoes. I know what you're talking about.
yeah. But
Um, yeah, man, that's deep shit. But I think you're the only person I know who could handle that and keep going.
I mean, don't get me
So,
wrong. I told her I was like, we got to go on a break. Like I'm gonna need some space and time from you for sure.
yeah, you can come back when you know I'm not crazy.
I think I honestly want like a written apology from her, you know.
That
But
sounds
like,
phenomenal, man. I don't think you're
yeah,
wrong for saying that.
it's just
I'm on the same page as you.
yeah,
Um, yeah, no, thankfully I didn't have that in my relationship. Um, but I definitely like I had a person who was kind of pushing me to goals a little bit in a way that I didn't really enjoy. Um, but on another note, yeah, I think this is good feedback. You're the only person I know who's going to take that on the chin and be like and use it as wisdom and as feedback rather than like a personal attack.
yeah. No, like I'm definitely paying attention. Like the other day, there's this girl at Zoo Culture,
Mhm.
who like we are very cordial with. Like, you know, we say hi to each other when we see each other at the gym. The other day, like I was leaving the gym and I tap her behind her. Like I tap her on her shoulder, like behind her, and she turns around and she jumps and she goes like, "Oh my God, you scared me!" She hugs me and then she says again, "You scare me." And
Oh,
I wasn't sure if like I heard it correctly or not. Like, did she say
yeah.
like I scare you or like I scared you, right?
Oh,
But what I heard
okay.
was like you scare me, and that could only be in response to the content.
You know, that reminds me of the time that I was there with you. I think the most recent time at Zoo Culture, and there was a group of guys like filming, and they mainly do like comedy stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like laughing, saying like gay things, like just as bros do for fun. And I think they like got you in the camera. You started talking about something. I think you guys were talking about girls or something, and they kind of just looked at you, and like all of a sudden, all of these guys who are just like complete comedians were at like a level of like discomfort with your authenticity and I guess like openness,
Yeah.
because they didn't take it as like he's joking and saying, you know, funny stuff. They
Yeah.
just took it as like, oh, like Shaun's just saying who he is and like he's weird for that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just told you, I think like I don't care what you do or what you say. Like I don't
Right.
judge you,
Yeah.
but what I will say is that there's definitely certain things where it's like other people will judge you and you should be conscious of like
Yeah.
how they judge you because it's going to be really hard to influence or activate people if they think you're
Crazy.
absolutely like absurd, yeah, or
Yeah.
crazy or just
Yeah.
weird, you
It's
know?
so fucked up though, because
So
it's
I
like just to.
yeah, it's like in
Mhm.
a sense you have to dilute yourself, which is unfortunate, but it's just I guess how it is.
I think it's so whack, and
Yeah.
like the whole psychology of this whole thing, where I don't know, to understand in my face, a person will say like, "Oh man, like what you're doing is really cool, bro. What you're doing is really cool," and then to know like that same person, as soon as I leave, they're gonna be like be in a conversation with someone else like, "Yo, that nigga crazy," you know, like you see what he posted today? That shit crazy, you know, like it's just like what the fuck. I
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
know, man.
totally get it. I totally get it. That I yeah, I know it. I know it, man.
Yeah. But I get
That
it.
that is
Listen, I get it.
unfortunate.
It's just like
But
I'm disappointed
yeah.
to learn this fact about human behavior. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're both aware like it's a projection of what other people believe is possible and what they believe is like acceptable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just where we are. I I'm gonna interpret it as we're operating on a different plane of understanding.
Of
We're
course.
coming from a place of deep inspiration and ambition with tremendous goals that other people can't even fathom. I remember saying in that last live stream, commenting on some guy was saying that like somebody said like in the comments, you either have self belief or you don't. And I replied, I said everybody has self belief. The only difference is what they believe they can do. Everybody, like the vast majority of people, believe that they can get up out of their chair and go walk. Do you believe in yourself? Yeah, I can go get a glass of water. But do you believe that you can get this certain job? Do you believe that you can have the woman that you want or the husband, the family? Do you believe that you can be great at something? Now that's where people differ. Everybody believes they can do something. Most people believe, um, yeah, like they can do the basic core things that they do every single day.
Right.
Now, the weirdos like us are the people who believe that they can do things that they haven't done yet,
Mm,
who
damn.
other people haven't done yet.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it crazy.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, like the whole phenomenon of like the 4 minute mile, nobody in human history has ever done it. As soon as the first person ever does it, a bunch of people can
Yeah.
do it now. Because as
Yeah.
soon as it becomes feasible for
Yeah.
others,
Yeah.
it was always possible.
Yeah.
It was always
Yeah.
possible. But it just took that one person who said, I can do the impossible, and then actually doing it for other people to believe it was feasible. That's where we are. We're trying to run the 4 minute mile right now before anybody else has done it.
Yeah, and like what I find interesting, I like. I guess this is just what I'm feeling right now. Probably because the issue with my romantic partner is so fresh
Hmm.
that like there's almost a part of me that like wants to say like shame on you guys, you know, like really shame on you guys for like we've made it this far in our human history and we've had our minds blown by great thinkers, great innovators, great doers who have done the impossible over and over again. The 4 minute mile, the invention
Yes.
of the internet, you know, like they're doing things that are outside of our comprehension, and we're still seeing it. We're still normalizing it, and then one person shows up and announces another thing that is outside of your imagination, and you're saying it can't be done, and you're
Yeah.
saying it's crazy. It's like it's honestly offensive. I don't want to like go on a fucking thing
No,
about it.
it's a good point, man. It's a good point, but it's just not personal.
I know, I know, I know.
Unfortunately, even though it is so close to home, it's literally your partner. So of course it feels like it's they're offending you, but it's just their perspective. They don't think like that. They don't have this perspective of like everything that existed was impossible at one point in time. Everything that currently exists was at one point impossible, just an idea with no proof, no evidence.
And the thing is, and like this is kind of the whole point of this conversation. The thing is that the people that we're describing, the ones who do the impossible, it's such a goddamn small percentage of the human population. When we even consider like the entire history of our species,
Yeah.
The percentage of people who are doing things that have never been done is this big compared to billions and billions of people who are just following
Yeah.
and just doing what's normal, right? So, like, I don't even.
But the I think the value that we've seen here is that there is definitely a human phenomenon where people just want to watch and spectate as even though they'll call you crazy, but they'll still watch your videos. So we have their attention, and attention is energy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So and attention is monetizable. We live in an attention economy.
Yeah.
So Shaun, you got that down, man. You got attention. You can court attention very well. That's an incredible
Yeah.
skill. I think if you were boring about it, we'd have a much bigger problem than people thinking you're crazy. You know
I
what I
just
mean?
believe in the power of kayfabe.
Yeah. Remind me what that means.
Selling the finish.
Selling the
Selling the
finish.
finish. The art of kayfabe is selling the finish. What is your definition of significant, though? I can't remember when I used the word significant.
Oh,
Significant
significant.
intentions.
Is there comments? I can't see comments.
Oh, you should be able to.
It's so weird.
Yeah, apply finish. This is
How
a lot
many
of encouraging words.
how many viewers are there?
Just 3.
Why is it? It literally says 1 for me. But when I clicked on it, now it shows 3. Okay. My thing's
My
just acting weird.
definition of significant, more so my definition of doing things that have never been done before. That's what I'm trying to illustrate, is that the majority of humans are waiting for an impossible thing to happen, and then they normalize that impossible thing.
Can I join and come back real quick just to see if that fixes the problem?
Sure. Join and come back to fix the problem. I've always wanted to be able to freestyle, but I'm not that good at freestyling. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Doing stuff. Nice, do your thing. All right, let's see.
There we go. Okay, now I can see there's 4 viewers.
Nice. Cool.
Now I can see the comments too.
Cool. But yeah, what I was saying is that, like, yeah, most people are waiting for the impossible thing to happen, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, that was so cool! Look, cool. Let's consume it." And then they normalize the thing that was not possible until the one person did the
Yeah.
impossible. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's interesting.
it is fascinating. It's fascinating, and it's just like, it's just human behavior at this point. It
Yeah.
doesn't turn me on, but like,
It is what it is, man.
yeah.
I just can think in so many examples, man. So many people that I look up to who did or were exactly in the same spot that we're in, of like thinking and talking about things that other people didn't believe were possible for them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that reminds me of like Noah Lyles too. Like he says that he wants to be faster than Usain Bolt, and he would have said that like 2 years ago, people would be like, "You're crazy," but he broke the 200-meter world record. Now people are like, "Okay, this guy means business."
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even think he's competed in the Olympics.
Noah, yeah, he has.
He has?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
he had to pull out, or he didn't do well in, I believe, the 100 because he said that he had COVID. So yeah.
Yeah. But now I think we're gonna reach like not too far in the future, we're gonna reach a threshold where the things we're talking about right now that people think are crazy and impossible for us are gonna be very feasible and people are gonna be like, okay, that makes sense. This guy can actually get this done.
That's actually why I want to introduce the concept of superpowers to mainstream audiences,
Mhm.
because if we can blow expectations as to what we're capable of achieving out of the water, then it stands to reason that when a person gets up on a soapbox and says, I want to be the best fucking, who cares? Like, I want to be the most successful entrepreneur out of my town, right? We got Shaun Fury flying. I got another athlete who I want to like build a time travel story around. So like we've got like individuals who are doing supernatural things. So now that fucking small town where you got the entrepreneur who wants to be successful, could you like give him a thumbs up, please? You know, please,
Yeah.
make his life a little fucking easier.
I've been doing some testing ground a little bit, kind of similar to you, about like seeing what people in my life. Like I can tell them certain things, like mystical things that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main things that I've been like telling people and kind of seeing how they react is like sometimes I'll tell people like, oh, like I write poetry. And they're like, oh, cool. Like that's so cool. Like you have this hobby, you write poetry. I wonder if they're good or something, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling them like something a little different. I take a twist on it. And what I explain to them is how I had this kind of epiphany and revelation looking back at some of my poems that my process of creation is really interesting, where I basically say, I don't know what I'm going to write. I just start moving my fingers. I don't know what's going to type. And by the time I'm done in a couple minutes, I've just channeled something and I don't even understand what I just wrote. I don't know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll read it back, trying to understand and interpret the things that I wrote that didn't come from my thoughts because I had no idea what was going to happen or what was going to be said. I'll try to interpret these things. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. And then I just kind of leave it and I go and I continue living my life. And then I'll look back on it and I'll realize that certain things that I didn't understand when I wrote it or that didn't happen yet have now happened. And then I realize, oh, after looking back at all the poems I've ever written, everything that I've talked about and written about that didn't happen yet has now happened. That's when I had this realization that I undeniably was writing the future and I didn't know. And I didn't even understand. It wasn't even intentional.
Yeah.
Um, and then just, yeah, so I've just like been telling a few people that like friends and family and just kind of seeing how they react, like
Mm-hmm.
to me saying that I can write the future essentially, even if it's unintentional.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got very mixed responses, but definitely a little bit, definitely a good taste of like, are you okay? Kind of
Yeah.
concerning, like you
Yeah.
might be crazy
Yeah.
type of look,
Uh-huh.
which I don't take like offensive
Of course.
at all. I don't take it like personal, but I'm definitely kind of like I've kind of used that as a testing ground to see what people think I'm capable of, what people think they're capable of, I suppose, is a better way of putting that.
Yeah, I definitely, you already understand at this whole point. My mission in life is to normalize profound, impossible things. You
Yeah,
know, I just want to normalize the concept that like we are limitless
yeah,
beings and that we
exactly.
can do whatever we want and we can do way more together than we can apart. We can do so much more together.
Hmm.
If there's like
Definitely.
unified belief in our abilities as a species, my God, the things that we could truly achieve,
Hmm.
it'd be incredible.
Yeah, you know, I go through life with this feeling that like I know. Sorry, my phone died. I go through life with this feeling, like in this understanding and this knowing that I know myself so deeply that I know like I'm not crazy for like being aware of the things I can do, like my potential, like how limitless we are, each and every single individual.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that I came to be able to believe that was to be able to become aware of my own existence,
Mm-hmm.
my just how miraculous that is, and the certain things I've been able to do, even if it was unintentional, the things that have happened to me or because of me. And yeah, so I'm very much on board with normalizing that for absolutely everybody because I already believe that for myself and I believe that for everyone. But I just see that they don't believe that for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gives me like I guess the stability to be able to like face that kind of feedback and rejection
Mm-hmm.
of people thinking like you're crazy
Mm-hmm.
because I just believe certain things are possible that other people don't.
Yeah.
I know that certain things are possible that other people don't.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's definitely it's a meditation for
Yeah.
sure. I often think about the story of Michael Jordan and how he became the greatest of all time within his respective field, and we're just so easy to like state it as a fact, but none of us are really able to apply that same concept of he just took himself through
Yeah.
steps. He
Sure.
already had the talent, and he developed the skill through careful, consistent application of effort
Yeah.
and practice, right? So it stands to reason that anyone could pick a goal, a lofty goal, learn the steps that are required to achieve that goal, and then just do it. In the same
Hmm.
way that Michael Jordan became the greatest of all time, just take yourself through the steps. You know, like it's so weird, and this is probably like what's obviously this is like what I'm working through mentally. Like, how do I overcome this mental hurdle of getting through to people that you can do whatever you want if you just see the path?
Right.
And the issue is The thing that I'm running into, and the reason that we're talking right now, is because I'm starting to observe more people are interested in just watching Michael Jordan and not being the next Michael Jordan in whatever passion that they might think that they have.
That that perfectly leads into a question I have. I want to ask you, do you think that the best way to activate people into, I guess, self-belief or pursuits of greatness, expanding their beliefs of what's possible, is by, I guess, breaking records, doing things that haven't been done before and just letting them watch? Or I guess in a way trying to teach them before we've even done it ourselves. Because to kind of expand their idea, because we're talking about like shared belief.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'd be far easier for us to do the things that we want to do long term if we had a lot more people who actually believed and participated.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm asking is like, can we get them to participate just by just letting them watch and do nothing until we do the impossible, or to kind of bring them along, I guess in a almost like a inspirational kind of way that teaches them how to do the things.
I want to do both. The way I see it is that the longer that we stay this course, the more successful the course becomes, and the more, what's the word, inviting, welcoming,
Yeah.
receptive other people will be over the course of decades' time, right? What I'm interested in, and this is just like my whole thing about like Shonen Jump, right? Naruto wanting to become the Hokage, One Piece, Monkey D. Luffy wanting to become the Pirate King. That's the story,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what the value of the story is actually rooted in the friends that they made along the way.
Yeah.
The experiences that they had with the other people that they're interacting with as they reach their desired destination of being the Hokage or being the Pirate King. It's the friends that they made along. So my interest in year 2 of this project, who is willing to work with me right now that I can consider a friend and an ally? Those are the people that I want to focus on and activate and build an alliance with, because you guys are the true believers. You guys are the ones who get it before anyone else gets it. Before this becomes $1 million or $1 billion, product, you guys are the ones who saw the vision and saw yourselves in your own version of like your success.
Yeah, as our own characters.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. I think you have the right approach in that sense when it comes to like focusing in on the people around you, and bringing them along. We got to get our own like Team 7 going, our own Avengers going. Yeah, I remember commenting on your post when I saw the 5 natural bodybuilders
Mm-hmm.
for the tournament. I remember thinking, I was like, dude, these guys look like the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the first thing
that's
that popped in my
definitely
mind. I was like, this literally looks like Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk. Like,
yeah.
I see it. I
Well,
see it all.
in my brain, I'm calling it the greatest 30-man team in the history of sports and entertainment.
Right.
And the idea
And
of, I mean, just the opportunity alone to turn 30 natural bodybuilders into like superstar, larger than life personas. And I
yeah,
have the ability as a storyteller. I know I can do it, and I'm super
for
stoked.
sure.
You know?
Yeah, man. I'm really grateful for all like the stories that are different universes, industries that we can refer to and look to for wisdom. I think of WWE, the Avengers, Endgame, all these animes, all these different entrepreneurs, like
It's all there.
graphic novels, everything. It's
Yeah,
all there, man. Like it's all been done before, just in different realms.
yeah. Come on, like we're on
And
the
we're
same
just
page.
piecing it together. Yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
man. We're just piecing it together. The
yeah,
Watchmen, the Avengers, we're piecing
yeah,
together animes,
yeah,
WWE, all of it. We're
yeah,
taking components of everything to make a beautiful mosaic of storytelling and
yeah, yeah.
success.
Yeah, and it truly is. I mean, it's like the next big thing so far as intellectual property. So far as
Yeah.
like stories are concerned, this is the next big universe that's being built.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Avengers, now you have the Nattyverse. Like this is the next big universe.
Mhm. Love it, man.
Yeah, man.
So I guess with what we talked about today, like for you, what do you feel like you're going to change?
Drop the scale, start focusing on the steps that are in front of me. What are
Hmm.
the steps that are being done this year?
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about the 5 year, the 10 year, the 20 year plan anymore. We can just talk about like what steps are we doing right now. Lower the scale. Maybe every once in a while, like mention like, oh, the goal or the vision is this, but this is what I'm doing right now. So bring
Yeah.
it back to immediacy. And I'm still like I'm not concerned about a mainstream audience right now, because I believe that they will come once we actually have the budget to scale the production quality to epic proportions, where we have like $1 million that we get to spend on the production quality of the visuals, the presentation, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to my networking, I'm definitely still interested in players. I'm interested in meeting with people who have their own specific passions and aligning them with the greatest story of all time.
Okay. Question. Now that you've kind of, I guess, like changed the approach or the level of scale of like how, I think like when I guess I'm just relating this, like when people ask you like, what are you up to? What are you doing? What's your goal? What's your vision? You're kind of changing the answer to just be a little bit shorter in the sense of like how far in the future you're talking about your goal. Which goal? You know, we're talking about step 10 or step 50. So with that being said, like, do you think that there's been people you've met along the way and networked with where you've kind of perhaps, I guess, delved too far into the future? Okay.
Yeah. I've seen people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that, man. I've definitely seen that too, and I think I picked up on it really fast. And I realized like people want to support me the most when they just ask me like what I do, and I'm like, oh, I have a protein product company.
Yeah.
Rather than being like my goal is to end world hunger, like people are far more likely to just support me if I just say like I'm making protein products.
Yeah. It's
You
crazy.
know?
It's so fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of backwards,
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion.
And then,
But
yeah, I mean, it's super fascinating. And then like when I think about the players, we're doing an app launch in August, and the app comes with the manifesto, which is basically outlines the entire take over the world plan.
an
Like,
app?
you know, it's called Exceed. The app is called Exceed.
Oh, okay.
So once you get the app, you also get a manifesto, which is basically an onboarding manual where it's inviting people, like the conversation that we're having, to play the great game and be a part of rebooting the world in our likeness. So it's like a complete overhaul of government systems, political structures, even the way that we do finances and currency. Like I'm even suggesting that we, as the next generation of humanity, have the option to change these things that we don't like about the way that the world is currently run through this reboot, right?
Yeah.
So going into that, what I'll be focusing on is figuring out how to properly appeal to people who are dissatisfied with the way that the world is run currently, and recruit them into the great game and have their story matter when it comes to the larger picture of rebooting the world. Starting with rebooting the fitness industry, then rebooting Hollywood, and then finally rebooting the world over the course of, let's say, 10 to 20 years.
Okay, I like where this is all going, but I guess what I'm thinking is like,
It's probably too big.
yeah, too big too soon.
Yep.
Because I thought of an app a long time ago, and I thought like, okay, I'm thinking like society, like I want to create my own society of people who like want to literally like change our system of government because we're unhappy with it, change
Right.
like the way our currency is,
A
change the way
parallel
that we
culture.
operate. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like our own, literally like an international society.
Yep.
I'm thinking like an order.
Yeah. Coalition.
Exactly. That is on an app. With that app kind of not only being like a manifesto or like a way of networking, but also like an initiation in the sense like it prepares you for all the things you need to do within yourself internally, in order to kind of be prepared to be an active member, I suppose.
Literally the same
One of
idea.
the characters. One of the characters. So this is what I thought of, and I was like, this is how I'm going to unite the world. To like, this is I thought of this years ago, but then I thought to myself like, well, who's going to listen to me? Like why would people appeal to like me? And then I thought I was like, okay, I have to essentially amass like a certain level of success and do those things, the things that I'm thinking about, including in the app within myself. I need to do the meditations. I need to do the journalings. I need to do the internal work. I need to do the healing, the physical growth, the mental
Yes.
growth, and spiritual growth, and then create a level of success where I can fund this and be the face of it, essentially. And then I can launch it.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I, to an extent, am in agreement with you. It's all premature. All of this is premature. But my optimism is to say, like, what is the concept of premature if you know that you've already done it? If you're living in this reality reality where you have complete certainty that the destination will be arrived at, then what is premature? If it's not just like, this is just a lesson, whatever we do is just a lesson, and we're applying it to the future, you know?
Mm, yeah, I do get that. Um, I think
I say all this to say, like, the only reason I'm saying this perspective is because I honestly don't know what the alternative is. I don't know how else to move forward if I'm not looking to share and be transparent with what the vision looks like. I honestly don't want to work with people unless they have full understanding that if you're working with me, you're working with the person who wants to change the world. And I want you to understand that.
I'm in alignment with that for sure. For sure. Like even if I'm still like early, I'm in my career, in my business, like I'm thinking like the people who are going to be with me right now, even from the beginning, are going to know where I'm going and the end goal, and they can decide to be a part of that or not. I'm in agreement with that, but I was trying to think of like I didn't really fully like agree with the perspective that you shared about like what is premature,
Mm-hmm.
because I still believe in timeliness. I still believe in
Mm-hmm.
timing. I think we have to have timing when it comes to this stuff. Part of the strategy isn't just like, okay, we have the strategy, we know the end goal, let's just do it all now, as if things are already in place. But to a certain extent, they're not. Just because we have knowledge of the future doesn't mean that the best way to bring it here is by to do the things as, completely like with disregard of time. I don't think we should do like I don't think we should disregard the fact that this is a process,
Yeah.
not like a it's because we operate on linear time. We have to understand the order in which things should go. So
You're right. I haven't.
I
I personally have not been operating on linear time, and I'm seeing the effects of it.
yeah, yeah, I totally get that, man. It's so frustrating sometimes, and it makes me really impatient. um, that I know I'm in multiple places at once, essentially. Just kind of that knowledge, and I've even had that experience many times. Um,
Yeah, I mean, when you can get really good at it, you could be having conversations with people 5 years in the future while you're sitting in 2025.
yeah,
But and I can't wait to capture that with like a really great budget. But
yeah, yeah. Um, I think we, to a certain extent, still have to operate a little bit on linear time so that we can be timely about this stuff.
yeah, you're saying play the game correctly.
Yeah, kind of play
Hmm.
it one step at a time, one day at a time. Because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
because like,
like we have the knowledge of the future, but it doesn't mean that we need to force it into existence.
yeah, we're
Let's just
supposed to like,
play the game. Let's play the
yeah,
story.
let it happen
Yeah,
organically.
yeah.
You're
Let it
right.
play out. Let it play
Yeah.
out. I think this
So what do you?
I think the app might be premature because I don't think it'll gain the traction it could
Mm-mm.
if we did it in the future. That's my perspective. I think it's genius. I thought I had the same exact idea, and I'm totally willing to collaborate on it with you. Um, and I want to be a part of it, absolutely. But I think that perhaps it would be more successful later on down the line. I think be we might be getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's still
Yeah.
coming. Like the money's already been spent. The developers are still like they're working on it. Valley's he's invested in it, so
Nice,
he's a partner. He's getting 35% of the revenue.
nice.
So it's launching in August, and honestly, I guess the only thing that I have to figure out is mitigation.
What do you
You
mean?
know, um, there is no best case scenario for the launch in August. Instead, it's preparing for the worst case scenario
Hmm.
and making lemonade out of that worst case scenario. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I'm with you. The successful version of that launch is we've got plenty of traction. We've got money, we've got resources to dump into the promotion and the marketing. We've got celebrity endorsements, buy-in out the wazoo. We don't have any of that, right?
Yeah.
Instead, all we do have is a manifesto about taking over the world and an app that is meant to gamify the pursuit of the peak version of yourself.
Something I want to share with you. I took some of the core principles from the Lean Startup. I'm not sure if you've read that book.
Mm-mm.
Um, but basically, in the Lean Startup, it talks about how any project that you want to do, business or not, like is essentially a lean startup. And even really established billion-dollar companies have startups. Whenever they start up a new project and they want to innovate something within their already existing company and customers, they're doing a startup. And a lot of times companies fail because they didn't test their idea. They didn't like you have to get traction in a sense even before you've started creating the thing. It's kind of like you have to have like the idea first, and then you test the idea publicly. See where you essentially test assumptions. Because every entrepreneur, every thinker is operating on an assumption. For me, the way I did this is that my assumption for my sampler boxes was that people were not buying through my website because they didn't know what flavor they liked, so they didn't know which one to buy. That was my assumption, and I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong. Um, I discovered through testing, through asking people, what value would you find in a sampler box? I started thinking about all of the possible value inputs that people might want, or all the reasons that they might not be buying or rebuying the product. And I realized that a big portion of it was people had never tried it before. They never even heard of it before, and they didn't really understand the value of it. So then I had to completely shift my focus. It wasn't that people like my assumption was completely wrong. So now I had a tested product that I knew people were interested in, but they were interested in it for completely different reasons than I had thought. And now that gave me the perspective and the understanding that I needed to change my assumptions and approach the promotion from a completely different with a completely different strategy to
Right.
make it far more effective.
Right.
So I would ask you, what assumptions are you operating on? Because it seems like you're already like pretty far with the development and the
Mm-hmm.
idea of what this is going to look like, but
Mm-hmm.
the assumption might be that this is what people want,
Mm.
you know?
Well, yeah, and that's honestly that's what I've been arriving at, and that's why I keep talking about how people are more interested in watching Michael Jordan as opposed to like following his path of greatness.
Hmm.
And the app is all about following the path of greatness and aligning each individual with your most powerful path to being the best version of
Yeah,
yourself. And to me, it's incredibly appealing, and I'm sure it's appealing to you. But
absolutely.
but mm, you know, is this what people want? You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So I would say that my strategy is to present the concept in the way of like, this is fun.
Hmm.
This is actually a fun time. That's where I'm arriving at. Like playing this game of evolving yourself is actually a more fun experience of life than the alternative. Like that's the only thing I can come up with, and it's my truth as well. It's honestly my truth. I'm having more fun going through the process of becoming the best version of myself, mind, body, and spirit, than if I had chosen dormancy.
Right. I totally
So like that's
understand.
that's what I'd be selling.
Yeah, I like it. It's digestible for me.
I
And
think so.
yeah, but I think we have to operate on the understanding that what we want isn't necessarily what the
Yeah.
people want.
Yeah.
So for the sake of like making sure that this is not like a catastrophe or doesn't go wrong in the worst case scenario, I think you like whether you do this now or later in the future, doesn't matter. You have to test the assumptions and figure out what people want so that you can, because especially because right now like it's not even out yet.
Mm-hmm.
You have a big problem if it's out, it fails, and now you're trying to change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to change it while you're still making that thing, and then see how people feel along the way.
Mm-hmm. I see.
But one of the big things I was trying to do with my boxes was, as I was designing it, asking people how they felt about designs, asking people how they felt about titles for the names of the box, what's included in the box, what do they value the most within the box. What are you looking for? Are you looking for something that's good for a gift? Are you looking for something that's under $15? Are you looking for something that has great macros,
Mm-hmm.
just tastes good,
Mm-hmm.
looks fancy? Like, what's the priority so that I can put more money there?
Hmm.
and focus on those things. And that was really helpful because if I would have gone in blind, making only assumptions and not testing anything, this would be really bad.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would have been really off track.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. 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 Hmm. Now, there is an alternative,
Hmm.
and this is the conversation I have. For the record, whenever I mention my roommate who you're familiar with, I call him Caleb. That's his like kayfabe name.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Okay. So I was actually talking to Caleb, and he understands. Like, you know, he's obviously very smart, and he sees the potential success of this entire thing, and he theorized because he sees the decisions that I'm making in real time, and he sees what the trajectory is supposed to look like, and he's even theorizing that like maybe this thing of networking, because like I met you through networking. I'm
Hmm.
meeting natural bodybuilders through networking. There are individuals who do want to experience greatness. Sure, it might be a smaller percentage than the rest of the population, but we still
Yeah.
exist. So perhaps this concept of like networking my way through life until I meet all the right people, the 30 natural bodybuilders who are on the roster, the investors, the people who are interested in seeing the vision come to life, and through these decisions, such as launching an app and shit like that, maybe that's all just like part of it. You know, the success and failures of the things that were never supposed to be the thing, you know, that's just part of the story.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. Um, I think I'm a little bit more of the mentality like I like networking and networking has been really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when it comes to like having a movement, I think as leaders, it's a little bit less about networking and a little bit more about attracting talent.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Go
It's
on.
kind of about like trying to think how to expand on that. Because it makes sense to me, but I'm trying to think about it, explain it.
To me, it's the same thing. Networking and attracting talent is the same thing.
Hmm. Okay. Then I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I think we're on the same page.
Okay. Yeah. No, I would say that's my top priority is attracting talent.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
talent is presented in different ways. Obviously, we've got the Natty King where we want 30 natural bodybuilders. We need those talents, but we
Hmm.
also need other people. We need social media managers. We need um, we need investors. Like, let's just be honest. We need investors. Like, and if we're looking at this from the perspective of a movie production, that movie production needs to be financed.
Yeah,
We need millions of dollars, you know,
yeah,
and we need people who are like a part of the film crew and et cetera, et cetera. That they're all talent to me. And the concept is walking through life and meeting those people organically through the intention and the will and the effort.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the app is just part of it somehow. The app is part of it, if that
I
makes sense.
agree. I definitely agree that it is part of it. I
Yeah.
think it could be a great pool for talent and networking.
Yeah. I just got to figure
Hmm.
out how to like, because obviously, like, oh, I wrote a book about how I want to take over the world. How does that sound? Like, what's the tone of what I just said? How does that sound to you? Imagine me saying this to like a random person. Yeah, I have an app. And when you get the app, you also get a book about my strategy to achieve world peace. But I'm like saying it like just like that.
Gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, the only times I can think of like that happening, some examples that come into mind is like Mein Kampf, like Project 2025. I think of like the Communist Manifesto. Like the only things I like come into mind of like people who like wrote books about like taking over the world. I'm thinking like about like Hitler or like things like that. Like, and I'm just like, okay, that doesn't really sound like a good tone because it kind of sounds like you're trying to um, recruit a small group of people to like help you overthrow the government and stuff like that. Which I think most people are not gonna really want to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna want to watch,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps, not
Mm-hmm.
side with you though,
Yeah.
not participate, not be an accomplice.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think if you're kind of looking for the opposite, where we where the message is so digestible. I think I'll ask you this, Shaun. Like, if I was a random stranger and I didn't know you, and you just gave me this book or this idea, I would be like, why would I want you to take over the world? Why should I trust you to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a person who does know you, I would probably still ask you that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd still be like, why should I trust you? Like, what have you done?
And that's when I would go into a big speech about human potential and how, we do much more together, and the people who are currently in charge are not really considering all of humanity. They're more so looking to line their own pockets and further their own goals. So there needs to be a shift. There needs to be a paradigm shift in who's in control and who is leading the future for a better humanity.
So I completely agree with you, but I think that words are not compelling enough to like convince people to like be that on board with something like like complete like world dominance, because that's like literally putting you like in a position of complete power over everything and everyone. In a sense, at least that's how most people would interpret
Mm-hmm.
it. So to like basically ride all of that stuff on like the things you say
Mm-hmm.
is a lot to ask.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the I'm not gonna say the book names again, but the books that you listed, they did experience a level of great success through stating the
Hmm.
ideas and following up on those ideas through speeches and networking, public speaking and networking.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it really does just take a charismatic leader, and
Yeah.
it's basically walking the tightrope between now and the finish line to play the perception of, is Shaun crazy, or is he actually like truly leading the world to a better place?
I can't argue with what you just said because it is absolutely true. I think genuinely, like, history has shown us, as long as you have a charismatic leader, even if he hasn't done shit, even if he hasn't done anything to like earn the title, the spot of leader,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of power,
Yeah,
which has gone wrong pretty
yeah,
before.
and
What I will say is that it has worked. However, what I will say is that there's two aspects of why I think it didn't go well in the end, even when you give. Well, those movements weren't successful ultimately, and getting to the type of level of world change I think that we want to
well,
see.
I mean, if we're talking about Mein Kampf, I mean, it was completely negative, terrible, derogatory.
Well,
Uh,
I just mean successful in the sense of like the principles that we share of like what success looks like to us.
I would say that their movements were successful.
Okay, maybe that's not the right word then. They got what they wanted. Yeah. Um, Perhaps it just wasn't the right cause. That I
Oh,
think I
of
would
course
agree with.
not. I mean, we're in agreement about that. It was
Okay.
not the right cause.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the two things that I think are also valuable, I think to a certain extent, like hidden intentions are valuable,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think like not fully exposing your full deck of cards of like what you want to do. I think I understand why people have like agendas,
Mm-hmm.
don't fully say what they want to do
Mm-hmm.
until they're at a certain level where they can kind of do it to a
Right.
certain extent. So I'm not saying that like we're not gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
we're not gonna have like negative intentions or seek malice, but in the same time, it's like for me, like I think I'm kind of reserving the level of change that I want to see to get to a spot where I have like the leadership potential of resources, network, and all of that and skills to
Mm-hmm.
actually be able to do the things I can say. Where it's like in
Right.
my mind, mentally, I already know that I can do those things.
Mm-hmm.
And to a certain extent, for me to like talk about it, um, excessively kind of feels like I'm trying to prove it to somebody else when even though that's not what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm in the process of just proving it to myself.
Right.
Um, and the other aspect of it is that I want to actually feel like not feel, but I want to prove to myself and to experientially that I'm worthy of that leadership experience, of that position, of
Mm-hmm.
leading this movement
Mm-hmm.
before I'm just talking about it. I told someone this before, and I think I told them, I was like, if you would have given 16-year-old me who had the business already, like $100,000 to fund the business, I would have I would have destroyed it. I would have ran it to the ground. If you would have given me all the money and resources and time to build this business.
Right.
And I'm so glad that I didn't get investors, because if I would have had investors, I would have destroyed the business. But through the past 3 years, I developed as a person and as an entrepreneur to get the skills, to make the mistakes, to have the failures that taught me the lessons that I need to know to be where I am and to get where I'm going. And I owe it to the fact that I took my time.
So maybe this whole thing is about failing publicly, you know? Maybe that's just a choice that I've made. And
Sure.
this whole concept, I mean, I get how this works. It's the concept of failing upwards.
Mm-hmm.
So this app gets launched in August, and it doesn't get as much traction as we would have wanted. So it's a failure. But what's the result of that failure? Who do I get to put this book in the hands of, and they read it and go like, yo, your idea is crazy, but I think it's actually really exciting, and I'm on board. Just as a result of the fact that we launched the app, the book is now available, people can read it, and one person who's got his own passions, respective to, you know, his own path, that person's down, you know?
Well, how much money does that require to get that one person on board that you're looking for? Obviously, that's not like the goal, but I think you're looking at it as like optimistically, in the sense of like, even if it is a failure, it'll have some value, and I 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that like you don't need to fail super hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's what I'm saying. Like you can test things ahead of time to see if it'll fail or not before you
Yeah,
like pour everything into it.
right. I don't think I've poured everything into this. It's
No, definitely not.
you know what it
It's
feels
just
like?
it's like one thing, one project you got going on.
Yeah, it feels like just part of like the larger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's why I'm not too concerned about the launch of it, or like the traction or lack thereof that it might get, because to me it's like I'm a filmmaker. That's part of my resume. I made a movie back that was released in 2024, and it is on my resume that I am a Hollywood movie producer. It was released. It's on Tubi, Apple. If you haven't seen it, it doesn't change the fact that I'm a movie producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a movie star because I starred in the movie. So I get to call myself a movie star to that extent, right? Same thing with an app. Same thing with like an author. I'm a published author. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all just like words and feelings until the cacophony of success that occurs later on down the line, when all of a sudden this overnight success of Shaun Fury becomes legitimate.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do get that.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, like everything that you're saying makes complete sense.
Okay.
But this is the perspective that I've adopted because of what's like inevitable. Like these things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how are we going to respond to these things that are happening, and how can we pivot, you know?
Yeah. Okay. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
I like the idea, and it's definitely something that I was planning on doing in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely premature.
Maybe a bit.
Yeah.
But listen, man, like we're just gonna learn from it, good
Yeah.
or bad, you know?
Yeah.
Successful or not, it's like it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. You just got
Yeah.
to refine it. And I know, like, and you mentioned, which I actually do disagree with you,
Hmm.
speeches are going to be the thing that, like, takes us home. You know, it's got to be powerful,
For
profound,
sure.
impactful speeches, you know?
I agree. I agree. Um, I think what I meant to say was that like I like to stay a little bit silent on certain things.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Timing is everything. And I get your perspective.
Hmm.
I truly do. What I'm doing, everything that I'm doing is entirely premature. Announcing that I'm like the greatest of all time, that's premature. Like saying I'm going to change the world, premature. But it doesn't scare me for some reason, because I understand the scope of this project spans decades. So what I say in year 2 and year 3 really does not matter in the grand scheme of 20 years down the line? Did we get the goal done? You know?
Okay, gotcha. I want to ask you because I think I think we kind of balance each other out in certain aspects. So I want to ask you, I feel like I'm focusing very much on like the near future in the sense of like this launch that I'm doing for my sampler boxes. I'm focusing on like the immediate content that I'm making right now, growing the following I have right now, not for like long term like world peace and stuff. I'm talking about like people who want to invest in the stage my business is in right now and who I am right now,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
rather than where I'm going.
mm-hmm.
Um, on the note of speeches, how can I perhaps speak more, or I guess recruit more people, network more people in this, and I guess get them on board on where I am right now?
How can you? Um,
Or do you feel like I'm doing
I, I think you're
solid there?
I think you're doing a good job. There's like, for me, there's two types of networking. There's in-person networking. So you take you take yourself to the places where the people that you want to network will be.
Hmm.
So if it's the bodybuilding community, take yourself to bodybuilding shows, take yourself to gyms, and then talk to people, ask them questions, see how you can fulfill a need that they have through your product. So
Yeah.
it's in person, and then it's obviously social media content. What does that look like? Well, UGC is apparently very good, where you're just talking directly to the camera about your product and why you're passionate about it. For me, I'm all about scalability of production quality, so I'm really excited to having like millions of dollars behind me to use for a better visual presentation of the message,
Yeah.
you know? But in the meantime, until we have those resources, user generated content where you're just, throwing on your iPhone or whatever the fuck and you're talking directly to the camera. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's just like kind of like a parallel. You're developing the skills simultaneously in person and through social media, and
Hmm.
then over the course of that applied effort and that consistency, you get really good at it.
Gotcha.
You know.
Okay.
So that's why like I'm not attached to the low level of engagement, because I'm perfecting my craft of public speaking
Yeah.
through stuff like this, so that 5 years of doing this, I'm giving fucking great speeches to thousands and thousands of people, if not millions of people.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't be able to give that great speech if I'm not doing this right now.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. I don't have much else to say right now.
Yeah, no, I'm like we're at the same, like I'm done too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I think that was a great
Yeah,
note right there.
dude, we're still locked in.
We are, man. I
Yeah,
could see it in you too.
yeah,
I love how adaptable
oh,
you are,
yeah.
but also steady in the sense of like you're so focused on the vision, and your strategicness doesn't equal rigidness.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Some
I'm
people mistake the strategy for the objective,
yeah, yeah,
and that's a
yeah.
big
I'm
mistake.
attached to the vision, but the plan to get there is I'm very open to changing and adjusting the plan
I love
to
that.
reach the vision.
Yeah,
I'm very open.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And I'm right there with you.
absolutely. Cool, man. Well, this is great.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate you. I still
yeah.
can't see the comments for some reason, like anything, or the viewers.
Oh,
It's so
there,
frozen.
there weren't that many.
Okay, all good.
Cool.
Well, what was I gonna say, man? Um, I think I like to share with you like the good news. Like I'm still growing, man. I'm just making big leaps in the personal growth aspect and the business aspect as well. I think I'm just presenting a little bit more of the business aspect,
Absolutely,
which is good
man. I'm proud.
because I think social proof is a massive lever for social influence as well, influence and
Yeah,
attention.
yeah. And I get it
So
too. I get
yeah,
it. Yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Definitely want to keep playing on that.
Yeah,
But deep down, man, I'm like still working on it. Still working on it. Still
yeah,
growing. Still evolving.
yeah.
And it's just it's a lot of fun because I feel like I'm in a spot where I can present myself for who I am
Hmm.
and not feel like, oh, I'm not good enough yet to talk about certain things or to share my success, or I'm not successful yet, so therefore I can't share it. But it's like that's the same thing that's going to keep you locked up and not let you grow.
Yeah.
like believing that you can't grow.
Yeah.
You believing that you
It's,
can't put yourself out there. So I'm at that place where I can put myself out there and work on myself at the same time.
yeah. Yeah. I think my takeaway is start caring a little bit about like coming off crazy because it's not helping. It's really not helping that perception. Like I lost my romantic partner because I just couldn't be in the same room with her thinking that I'm crazy. So like
Oh god.
honestly, so you know, making the necessary adjustments to like change that perception and you know, keep it moving.
Dude, I had the same experience, especially when I had like spiritual journeys or like certain insights and things like that. Like I would say certain things, and I remember she would look at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Wouldn't it
It
be
was
nice if you just
unfortunate. It wasn't enough to scare her away, because
yeah.
I think she was probably like, "Yeah, he'll snap out of it. He'll come back to normal." Well, I guess I didn't. But what I did get to is a point where I was like, "Man, I don't need this." For exactly what happened to you. So I was like, "Man, I don't need this person who thinks I'm crazy or like all this stuff I do is stupid and it makes no sense." And I'm like, "It makes sense to me."
Yeah,
And
like a little
she don't
support would be
understand.
nice, but I get it. I get
Yeah,
it.
a little
I get it.
support would be nice.
I
Yeah,
get it.
but totally fine. And
It is.
sometimes it
It is.
happens from the people closest to you, family,
Yeah.
significant others, you know.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
um,
let's both promise not to do a big "I told you so" on the other side of this.
I can't promise that. That's the plan, man. That's part of the plan. That's part of the story.
We'll do it in a in an artistic, creative way. How's
That's in
that?
the fuck you money, man. I thought that was the goal. No,
That's fair. That's fair.
no, I'm just kidding. I'm
But
just
can
kidding.
we do it in an
I'm
artistic way?
in an artistic way.
Yeah.
What, like, give me an example.
Like putting it in the form of like a really emotionally profound movie.
Okay,
Yeah. Something like that.
and then saying,
Like
how does this
like let's
work?
just not be arrogant. Let's do it like I want to do it like shame on you guys. You
Hmm.
know? Like honestly shame on you.
Yeah, there's like two thoughts going through my head right now. One of them is like, nah, I'm gonna get to that level of success and be like, told you, haha. You should have believed in me, you know? And then there's the other part of me that's like, no, I understand where she's coming from. Like she's just trying to express her love in the best way possible, and that looked like trying to protect me from disappointment and, you know, and illusions, right? At least from her perspective. And she was just trying to express that.
Yeah.
I go back and forth sometimes. It just depends. They're both fuel. They're both good fuel because this fuel is like, man, I get it. Like, I just got to prove it, but I got to do it out of love. And this other one is like, man, screw you, you
Yeah.
know. But definitely, I edge on the side of more like, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Like, if I was in your position, I'd probably think I was crazy too.
Yeah. And I look at it like that too. I
Yeah,
look at it like
yeah,
that too. And you know, I think you and I just have to be leaders
yeah,
and pave the way for other people to understand that we never doubted ourselves. Our belief in ourselves never wavered, and that you can have the same amount of belief in yourself and your desires as we do for ours.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, try to do. I get what you mean on artistically, like trying to be inspirational about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Present it in a way that's like, oh, yeah. Yeah. You know?
Definitely. Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
that.
I'm going to go take a piss.
Sounds good.
This was great.
I'm gonna head to Muay Thai.
All right, man. I appreciate your time.
Likewise, man. Thank you. We gotta do this again sometime.
Yeah, I'm down. Let me know.
Good. Peace out, man.
All right. Peace.